My name is Chen Wei. I live in the city Chengdu, China, and this incident happened to me few years back. I was a paranormal investigator, always searching for the truth behind the world's most chilling legends. Ghost stories, abandoned places, mysterious disappearances, these were my obsession. But what happened to me in the caves of Liang Shan was not just another ghost story. It was real. And if you're reading this now, do not make the mistake I did. It all started when I found an old book in an antique shop in Chengdu. The book was fragile, its pages yellowed with age, filled with strange symbols and faded ink drawings. One chapter caught my attention, the story of an abandoned monastery hidden deep within a cave in the Liang Shan mountains. The book spoke of whispers in the dark, monks disappearing without a trace, and a terrifying entity sealed away centuries ago. Travelers who stepped inside were never seen again. The few who returned spoke of ghostly figures and an overwhelming sense of dread. Most would have dismissed it as folklore. I didn't. I had spent years investigating places like this, documenting paranormal activity for my research and online channel. So, despite the warnings, I packed my camera, flashlight, and a few essentials and set out alone. I should have known better. The journey was grueling. Liang Shan is a remote, mountainous region, covered in thick forests and treacherous paths. The closer I got, the more uneasy I felt. It wasn't just the eerie silence, it was the way the wind whispered through the trees, almost as if it was trying to warn me. The most surprising thing was that despite there being such a dense forest, neither the sound of any animal nor of any bird could be heard. At the base of the mountain, I stopped in a small village to ask for directions. The moment I mentioned the cave, an old woman grabbed my wrist. "You must not go there," she whispered, her voice shaking. "Something terrible is trapped inside." It never left. Others in the village refused to even speak of it. One man simply shook his head and muttered, "The last one who went never returned." But I was stubborn. I believed in science, in logic. Superstitions didn't scare me. I wish they had. By late afternoon, I reached the cave. The entrance was enormous, like the mouth of a slumbering beast, waiting to swallow anyone foolish enough to enter. Ancient carvings lined the stone walls, depicting monks performing rituals, expressions of terror frozen on their faces. My flashlight flickered as I stepped inside. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath misted in the air. The deeper I went, the heavier the silence became. Then, I heard it. A whisper. I spun around, my heart pounding. There was no one there. Just darkness. I forced myself to take a deep breath and pressed forward. After what felt like an eternity, I reached the monastery. It was a massive wooden structure built inside the cave, its walls rotting, the paint peeling away. Strange symbols were carved into the beams, but I didn't recognize them. The entire place felt wrong. As I stepped onto the wooden floor, it creaked loudly under my weight. The air smelled of mold and something else, something decayed. Then, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. But they weren't mine. I held my breath, gripping my flashlight tighter. The sound came from deeper inside the monastery. I figured some other visitor might also be exploring the place just like me. So I yelled, "Hey, anyone there?" There was no response. I swallowed hard and stepped forward. I started recording, moving cautiously down the hallway. Doors lined the corridor, most of them shut tight. One, however, was slightly ajar. Inside, the walls were covered in deep scratch marks, as if something had tried desperately to claw its way out. The air was thick, suffocating. Then, my camera shut off. I checked my camera but couldn't figure out the reason why it shut off. Now the silence was deafening. And then, I heard it again. A soft whisper. As if someone was trying to communicate. I spun around, my blood running cold. There was no one there. I couldn't figure out the direction of the whisper. I felt as if the whisper was coming from inside me. I thought of going back now. I was not feeling good, and since my camera was not working, there was no point staying there for long. Just as I was about to turn and head back, I heard it again. A faint footsteps coming from deep inside. The footsteps were echoing as if coming from a distance. I turned my flashlight down the hallway. The air grew colder. My breath came in ragged gasps. I started running. My aim was to get out of there as early as possible. But everything was pitch dark, so I had to carefully make my way out without stumbling upon anything. Suddenly, my foot struck something lying on the floor and I fell down. I immediately pulled myself up, and as soon as I got up, I heard a loud, inhuman scream echoed through the cave. The ground beneath me trembled. The air around me shifted, like something huge was moving inside the darkness. My flashlight flickered for a second as if something was watching me. I ran as fast as I could. I expected the cave to collapse, for something to grab me from the shadows, to feel cold fingers wrap around my ankle and pull me back. But none of that happened. I ran until I saw the light of the day. Until I was outside, gasping for air, my body drenched in sweat. I turned back toward the cave. The entrance stood there, silent and unmoving. But I knew better. I knew something had watched me leave. I could feel it. I never went back. To this day, I don't know what I encountered in that cave. I never reviewed the footage. I left my camera in my car for days, too terrified to see what it had captured. When I finally mustered the courage, I found nothing. The entire video was corrupted. Except for one frame. A blurry image of the monastery's hallway. And at the end of it, a dark figure stood there. The shape of the figure was human-like but too tall to be human. I deleted the footage. I deleted everything. I never spoke of that place again. But some nights, when the world is quiet, I wake up to whispers. And in the dark corners of my room, I swear, I see a pair of pale, lifeless eyes, still watching. If you ever find yourself near the mountains of Liang Shan, do not enter the cave. Even if you escape, it never really lets you go. If you liked this video, make sure to like and share it. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the button now and become a part of our family. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling horror stories. If you have a similar horror tale of your own, don't forget to share it with us.